All right, again, good morning, everybody. It's that time that we talk to the Chamber of Commerce, Greensburg Decatur County Chamber of Commerce, and at this point, I'm going to turn it over. We have an intern today running the show for the Chamber of Commerce. I'll let you introduce yourself and your guest.
Yes, good morning. So I'm Belle Westerfeld, and I'm the marketing intern for the GDC Chamber of Commerce, and I'm so excited to be hosting today's show. I'm especially excited to introduce today's guests. We have Laura Williams and Julie Rohrig with Williams Law Office.
Good morning. Good morning. It's great to be here, and thank you very much for having us.
Yes, it's great to have you guys. So today we're talking about something that affects all of us at some point, whether it's planning for the future, navigating the loss of a loved one, managing property, or even making sure your small business is legally protected. I'm joined in the studio by attorneys Laura Williams and Julie Rohrig of Williams Law Office right here in Greensburg. Laura and Julie focus on estate planning, business planning, probate, real estate, and some family-related legal issues. Their practice is known for practical advice, trusted counsel, and a down-to-earth approach that clients appreciate. Laura and Julie, welcome to the show. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you.
So if you guys first want to introduce yourselves, what do you guys do, where you're from, all of that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, I'll start. I'm Laura Williams, and the Williams Law Office comes from Laura Williams. So I started Williams Law Office in about 2000, so it's been around for quite a while, and we moved our office here to Greensburg in 2013, so we've been here in our Greensburg office for about 12 years and going strong. And in the last couple of years we've added 2 other attorneys. Julie came on in the spring of this year, and Sherelle Hernandez came on about 3 years ago. So there are 3 attorneys here in our office, and we all do about the same thing, although each of us has kind of our own niche as well. I've been practicing law for, and I'm going to gulp at this, but almost 30 years.
You're not that old.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. My family would disagree with you, but it's that reality check when I have to say that 30 years ago. It's actually been 29 this summer, but nearly 30 years ago. And I love what I do. I love working with families and creating their estate plans and creating their legacies that they want to leave after they are gone, or even creating their legacies that they want to create while they're living, so that they can make sure that their family lifestyle lives on after they do. I do focus on the estate planning side. I also do a lot of business planning, so I help people set up corporations, LLCs, partnerships, all that sort of thing, and then all of the stuff that goes along with those areas. So some real estate, contracts, all of that good stuff. So love what I do. Love working with the community. I was raised here in Decatur County, and in fact, my first job was here at WTRE. Wow. So lots of good memories here, and I keep looking around for Spook the cat. She's not here anymore, but that goes back a long ways. If anybody remembers Spook, she was a great cat. So, but. Yeah, born and raised here. My family and I live on our family farm about 5 miles west of town, and my kids go to Greensburg schools. My daughter's a senior at Purdue this fall, and my son is a senior at Greensburg this year. So That's a little bit about me. And then there's Julie.
Wow, that is a hard act to follow. Well, anyway, I'm so excited to be here, so thank you so much to WTRE and the Chamber for having us. So obviously I'm Julie Rohrig. I live in Milan. My husband and I have a small farm there. We have cattle, a couple really cute puppies that I very much enjoy. We have a blended family, so I have 2 biological kids and 2 stepkids. So that's kind of my family backgrounds. Some just things about me. I really enjoy camping, hiking, things of that nature. As far as professionally, my background is I have family law experience and child welfare experience. I actually came back to Williams Law Office because I worked with Laura when I was in law school. So that was really fun, and I'm glad to be back.
It took a little while for her to realize she wanted to come back, but we're really glad she did.
No, I'm so excited to be back, and I really enjoy Greensburg. I think it's a great community, so I'm so happy to be here. I have been focusing on estate planning, probate, contracts, things of that nature. I'm really excited about getting our practice more focused on things like prenuptial agreements, things of that nature. So, yeah, I'm just so excited to be here, and thank you for having us.
Awesome.
And then, Belle, before we go too much further, you know,
Yeah.
you've got a couple of attorneys here in the room, so we have to start with some legalese. We have to give our
Yes.
disclaimers before
Okay.
we go too far in this. Although we are attorneys and we're going to talk about some legal ideas here, none of this is legal advice. And
Yeah.
so we don't want anybody to take what we say
Right.
and run with it. We're just giving some educational points here, and hopefully it'll give you some information. We'd love for you, if you hear this and you have some questions about it, give us a call and we'd be happy to sit down with you individually and give you legal advice individually. But don't want anybody to take this as legal advice that we're giving today.
Absolutely. Everyone's situation is unique, so definitely let your plans be tailored to you. And so please come and see us.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that note. So the first question I have is regarding estate planning. So what's one common misconception people have about estate planning, and what do you wish more people knew?
Well, I know one of the things that I see a lot of people say is, oh, I don't need to do an estate plan because I don't have that much money. They think estate planning is really just for the wealthy, and that is not true at all. I always say that anybody who owns property or has children needs to have an estate plan. And your estate plan doesn't have to be elaborate, but it does need to have some thought put into it. And I will say, if you don't have an estate plan of your own, the state will create one for you. And usually that is not the preferable estate plan for most people. Usually if the state gets involved and plans your estate for you, your estate, everything that you've worked for your whole life, is going to go to your closest living relatives. And not to speak out of school or anything, but most of us have a relative or two that we really don't want to inherit our estate.
What?
And so, so that's why it's important to do our own estate planning. And that way we get to choose who gets our estate. And if that is all of our relatives, then great. But sometimes that's also charities and organizations that we've worked with. And if you don't create your own estate plan, those charities and other organizations and people even outside your family are not going to be able to benefit from your estate. So don't think that estate planning is only for the wealthy. It's for everyone.
I think something that I see is people just think that they have all the time in the world to create their estate plan. I think people tend to think, oh, estate planning, that's for my grandma or my parents or, something like that. But estate planning is for everyone, especially once you have children, once you own property. So I would encourage people to start when they're younger.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that question. Like, when do you encourage people to start estate planning? Like, as early as possible, or?
I think as soon as someone has property, or as soon as someone has children.
Okay.
Because one of the things that we can do is within your will, you can actually say, if something happened to myself and my spouse, who would I want my child to be raised by?
Yeah.
You can include things like that in your will, which can provide peace of mind for not only you and your children, but the rest of your family as well.
Yeah, of course.
And I'll add to that too. You don't necessarily think of it as estate planning for after you die, but there are some documents that we work on that are really good for folks when they turn 18, when you all of a sudden become an adult and you have legal responsibilities and legal rights, to sign your name, to own your bank account, to own real estate. At that point, it's a really good idea to put some documents in place like a power of attorney, so that if something happens to you and you have a bank account and you're incapacitated for some reason, at least you've appointed someone who can get into that bank account and help you pay your bills or
Absolutely.
can manage that bank account for you. So a power of attorney is a really good thing to put into place. As soon as you turn 18, you can put that into place. And also a healthcare representative appointment. So again, if something happens to you and you're in the hospital and you can't speak or express what you want your healthcare decisions to be, having someone who is appointed to make that decision for you, or that the doctors know who to go to for those decisions, that's a really important piece as well. I know this summer we have seen a number of college students who or students who are going off to college this fall. They've just turned 18 and their parents are realizing, wow, these kids that I've taken care of and I've managed all of their bank accounts and everything for them for 18 years, I no longer have the ability to do that because they are adults now and they have that ability to do it for themselves. But if the kids are going off to college and they're going to be 3 or 4 hours away, but their bank account is here, it makes a lot of sense for mom and dad to still have access to that bank account. So a power of attorney can help them with that. And again, if they've got, healthcare questions or issues that come up that the kids need help with, their parents can help them with that too if they've got that healthcare representative appointed. So an estate plan in those terms, you can do that as soon as you turn 18. Mm-hmm. You can create a will at that point as well, or a trust or whatever, but that may not be the top of mind issue for you. It may be more important to have those documents that exist during your lifetime.
Yeah, that's, as a 20-year-old, I haven't even thought about any of that, so it's very informative for me. But moving away from estate planning and more about small businesses, so what are some key legal issues that small business owners should be thinking about from startup to succession?
So I am the one in the office who does most of the business planning. Everybody helps on it a little bit, but I do most of that business planning. And when I talk with folks who want to create a new business, it is real important to think about, do you want to create an entity that does this business? So either a corporation or an LLC. And a lot of times we talk about it in terms of liability. If there's a business that's going to have the potential for folks to get hurt, and probably hurt pretty badly. We have a lot of farming operations around here, so that's a common one that I hear of. And farming is a very dangerous occupation and very, very common in this community. So we deal with it a lot. But if there's liability where someone might get hurt, having a formal structured entity, a corporation or LLC, can be very helpful because it can limit that liability. So your house is not on the line if somebody comes and gets hurt, walking through the field, they fall into a hole or something. That's not going to put your house at risk for their injuries. So that's important. I do like to work with the tax preparers when we set up business entities too, and make sure that they're taxed the way they ought to be taxed. And the tax preparers, CPAs, are going to know that best. So I really like to take an approach that involves other professionals in the process as well. The tax preparer is the one who's going to create those tax returns in the future. I want to make sure that they agree that the tax entity that we're putting them in is the right one for their tax situation. And so I like to involve those CPAs in there as well, and ask them the questions of, how should that entity be taxed as an S corporation, as a partnership, whatever the case may be. So those are some real important things to think about. And then once those, that's kind of a startup question, a couple of questions. And so once we get the entity set up, then we have to look too about how does that entity pass on to the next generation or pass on to the next set of managers? Do we have a succession plan in place? Is there a buy-sell agreement in place? If you've got more than one person who owns a company, then it's real important to figure out how do those multiple owners work together, and what if one of them wants to leave the entity, and do they get out? Do they get paid to get out? Do they have to pay the company to get out? All those sorts of things kind of come into play. So we talk through all of those things as we're setting up corporations and LLCs, and make sure people get into the right position that they want to be in to really conduct their business well into the future. Yeah.
All right. So you also work with families after someone passes away. So what's important to know about the probate process in Indiana?
I'll take this one. I'm actually handling all the probate cases for the office, which I'm really excited about. One thing I want people to know is that probate does not have to be scary. I think probate in general is intimidating. I think even before I started doing it, I was intimidated by it. But if you come to an attorney that does probate all the time, that attorney can walk a person through the process and help you through, answer your questions, and just kind of let you know how things are supposed to go. So in every probate estate is going to be a little bit different, but it doesn't need to be scary, and please don't be intimidated by it. If you need us, we're here for you.
Yeah. So you help people with real estate transactions too. How does that fit into the estate planning part of your guys' business?
Real estate transactions come into a lot of the areas that we handle. As we're doing estate plans, particularly if we're setting up trusts or even doing business planning, things like that, it's important to make sure, as a trust specifically, it's important to make sure that the trust is funded, which means that the trust has to own the things that it's going to manage. And a lot of times that's real estate. So we make sure that we've got the deeds prepared that will transfer that real estate into the trust so that the trust can properly manage it. And we also, we educate our clients as well on to what that means and who then needs to be managing it, depending upon the type of trust that we've set up. Make sure that they know how to manage that real estate. For businesses, a lot of businesses, like I said, we do a lot of farm businesses, but even other types of commercial businesses, they own real estate, whether it's their primary location, an office building or something like that, or it's 300 acres of farm ground. If the business is going to be properly managing that real estate, then the business has to own it. And so we have to make sure that the real estate is transferred into the business. And again, we do some education to talk with our clients about what that means as far as managing that real estate and how they make sure that the bills are paid correctly. And, if they're in a corporation, that they've got everything running through the corporation properly, not commingling personal funds in with corporate funds and that sort of thing. So, but a lot of the real estate transactions come up in a lot of the other areas of law that we practice as well.
Right. Very interesting. This is very informative for me. I'm learning a lot. So when it comes to family law, especially in smaller communities, what role do you guys typically play?
So I am handling a lot of those issues as well. And one thing that I'm really excited about is I am working on building our prenuptial agreement practice. And the reason why I'm excited about this is I kind of think that prenuptial agreements tend to have a negative connotation, and I want it to be more normalized. I think prenuptial agreements really can help a couple and set them up for success. I think it's good before a couple gets married for them to be transparent about the state of their affairs and, make these agreements ahead of time. It can't hurt to have a prenuptial agreement. It can only help. Additionally, prenuptial agreements can be good for blended families, especially if you have children from previous relationships. You can talk about how you're going to even estate plan in your prenuptial agreement. So I'm really excited about this. I want this to be more of a normal process for people, and I want them to feel more comfortable with it. It does not mean that you're planning for divorce if you prepare a prenuptial agreement. So I want people to keep that in mind, and just this, when you're planning your wedding and you're having those hard conversations about, what the future is going to look like, that is the perfect time to be thinking about the prenuptial agreement and, just setting yourself up for success.
Yeah. So what is a mistake, going back to estate planning a little bit, what is a mistake you commonly see families make when it comes to creating an estate plan?
This is a question I love because this is my chance to say to folks, please don't do these things. But the biggest mistake that I see folks make is they put their kids on their assets. And a lot of times I have folks come to me and say, oh, well, my neighbor did that. And so my neighbor put his son on the house, so we just went ahead and put our kids on the house as well. And that is really a very, very expensive mistake that you can make for your kids and for yourself as well. When you put your child's name on your house, that house now becomes your child's house. And so, lots of bad things can happen from that. Not necessarily will happen, but certainly can happen. Number one, if your child should get a divorce or file bankruptcy or get a judgment against them, your house is now an asset in their bankruptcy, or their divorce. And so their divorce is going to have to contemplate how they manage your house. And it's still your house. It's where you're living. And, you don't want your house taken out from under you. And you also don't want to have your kids compensate someone else for the house that you are living in. They really don't have, any kind of stake in the house other than you just put their name on it. Same thing with a bank account. If you put your child's name on your bank account, your child now has that bank account. Again, if in events of a bankruptcy or a divorce or a judgment, your child's creditors can come and clean out your bank account, and you have no recourse against them. Same thing even with your child. Unfortunately, we do see the instances where parent-child relationships kind of go south, and when parents and kids don't get along anymore, if the parents have the child's name on their bank account, that child can come and clean out your bank account. And again, you have no recourse for that. So it's not a good idea to put your kids' names on your bank account. The other thing is, if you put your kids' names on your house, you've now given them a tax burden at your death when they go to sell that house. And that tax burden, they're going to have to pay a lot bigger capital gains. And so it's just not a good idea. We have lots of ways that we can get around that. We can, make name your kids as powers of attorney. We can give them authorized signer. We can set up a trust and make the kids co-trustees or something like that. And that keeps that asset from becoming your child's asset. And so gives you a lot of protection. We can also, if we put it into a trust, we can write into that trust that you, as mom and dad, have lifetime rights to live in that house or any of the houses that are owned by that trust. And so if you've put your child's name on your house and they decide that they don't like you anymore, they can kick you out. They're your landlord. They can kick you out. And you don't want to see that happen either. So we can keep that from happening in a trust. So that's a big mistake that I do see people making a lot of times. And I think they think that it's the easiest way to do it, to pass everything on to the kids. Then they'll just have it at your death. Unfortunately, there are intervening circumstances that can be very detrimental during your lifetime. So that's just not a good idea. But come talk to us and we can help you with some of those alternative solutions for that instead. So, Julie, do you see people making mistakes as well that's different from that?
I do. So one thing that stands out to me is when people fail to put safeguards up, especially if they're in a subsequent marriage, they have children from a previous relationship. Those children can be disinherited, and maybe not even intentionally. It could be intentionally or otherwise. So there are ways to set up safeguards so that your children from a previous relationship will not be disinherited, even if your estate goes to the surviving spouse at your death. So that's one thing that I would always say, especially for, the people who have children and are going into a new marriage, is just make sure that you set up your estate to protect your kids as well.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on people using online forms or do-it-yourself legal websites for estate planning?
Well, of course, the attorneys are going to say, please don't do that.
Please do not.
Yeah, that seems like a mistake.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah, we see that pretty frequently. And honestly, what we see the most probably is someone who has pulled a form off the internet. They bring it to us and say, I signed this. Will you review it? Make sure it's okay. Mm-hmm. And the time that it takes to review it and correct it and, bring it up to speed is more time and more expensive than just having us create the document to begin with. There's also some of those online form creators that are out there. They're actually being sued right now for unauthorized practice of law. And so you want to make sure you're very careful. Indiana's really, really particular about how documents are signed and executed. And those online forms won't necessarily give you all that information. And so you really are better off to just come talk to an attorney. Probably not as expensive as you think it is to just have the attorneys create the forms and finalize them and execute them with the attorney. Then you're in the right spot and have the right documents you need.
Right. And estate planning is not one size fits all. So, you can't just pull one form and expect it to meet all of your needs. So it is very important to go to an attorney and talk through that with them.
Yeah, very true. So, what do you enjoy most about your law practice?
Well, I'll start on that. I love working with the families. I love hearing every family's story, their legacy. I've used that word several times, but their legacy, hearing the family dynamics, getting to know the families better. That's the part that I love. Those relationships that we build as we're putting the estate plans together are so much fun. And, this is Decatur County, so we all are related, went to school together, or probably danced at Dixon Dance together. So, we all have lots of things in common. And so it's fun for me to meet with families, even that I've known for a long time, and learn new things about them. So I love getting to work with the families and helping them create that estate plan that's just perfect for them.
That's great. So I'm a transplant, so I do not know most people in Decatur County, but that's okay. So I really enjoy working with people as well. I especially like problem solving. If there's like a civil issue that someone is facing and they need some legal advice for, I am always happy to speak with them about that. Additionally, as cliche as it sounds, I just enjoy helping people in general. So I like helping people. I like helping set them up for success. I want to make sure that their plan is tailored uniquely to their situation with their unique needs and maybe family circumstances. So yeah, I'm excited to be in Decatur County, and I'm hopefully one day I'll be like Laura and know everyone, but I'm just not quite there yet.
That's how I feel too. I feel like Dawn and Sarah, they know everyone, and I'm always like, what's this person's name? What's their name? Like, they literally know everyone.
And then they have to give you the family lineage too, right? And they're related to this person, and it's this person's cousin, and
I'm learning slowly.
Yeah, I grew up with that. I used to make fun of my mom for doing all those family lineage, family tree things with me, and now I do it myself, and my kids make fun of me. So I think it's just something that happens to you as you get older. So.
All right, so for one final question, if someone isn't sure where to start with their estate plan, what would you recommend as a first step?
So I think the best first step is to give us a call. Our phone number is 812-663-7601. And give us a call. Our office staff can talk to you for a few minutes, set you up with an appointment to talk with either Julie or me, and we can talk through what estate plan is right for you. Like Julie said, no two estate plans are exactly the same. No two families are exactly the same. So if you don't really know what you want to do, come in and talk to us, and we can walk you through the process. We can give you some tips and tricks and pointers and give you some suggestions on what most people do and then what we would recommend for your specific situation. You can also go to our website, which is williamslawoffice.com. And we do have some information on the website that kind of directs you through some of the questions you might have about estate planning. And there's some information on there about what to do when a loved one passes away with a will or with a trust. What's the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust? There's some resources on there that might be helpful for you as well. So give us a call or visit our website.
Awesome. So that's all the questions that I have for you today. Do you guys have any additional comments or anything that you guys want to add?
I think we've covered most everything. So if there are other issues out there that people have, if they have other questions about estate planning or something that we've really not covered too much, feel free to give us a call. We'd be happy to sit down and talk with you about it.
Great. Thank you, Laura and Julie with Williams Law Office, for joining us today on Community Connections. This is Belle Westerfeld with the GDC Chamber of Commerce, and we will see you next time.
All right. Well, thanks so much to our guests. It's always great to get updates from the Chamber of Commerce. I'll give my own stamp of approval to Williams Law Office because that's where I take care of my stuff. So, stamp of approval. Anybody that